So I'd like just to begin there in terms of what you have unveiled here. Do you think that this gives now the European Union a real chance to compete with some of these very sort of heavily government-backed industries in China, for example, and in the United States with the Inflation Reduction Act?
Hello, good morning. So it's not against anyone, but it is just to ensure that it is not that we are reliable, predictable, and stable continent. It is that we are an attractive continent, and that we, the member states and the European Commission, want to blend, to support, and to come along with companies and investors.
And so
I think it is a good opportunity.
And so how do you achieve that with what you've announced?
Sorry?
So how do you achieve that with what you have announced?
Oh, so what we did is to manage a context where there were many member states willing to come along with the companies, the industrials stating that they needed to come into this decarbonization process as a market driver that can boost competitiveness in the mid and long run. But of course, it needs a lot of upfront funding. And I think that this provides an opportunity to de-risk the investments that they were willing to make, but also to ensure that we count with enough capital and that we can provide the good conditions to become a much more modern industrial powerhouse and to accelerate the energy transition.
So that's a side of your sort of role that is concerned with making Europe more competitive. You're also concerned with a lack of competition within certain industry as the antitrust commissioner. I'd like to get an understanding, because we've heard a lot from the Trump administration about their focus on European regulation on American tech companies. What has your contact been with the Trump administration?
For the time being, it's been, I could say, quite nice contact and conversations coming with the DOJ and the Federal Trade Commission. And I'm sure that both the federal administration in the United States and the European Commission share the fact that we want to protect our consumers, that we want to have a very well-functioning and level playing field in markets, and that we want to ensure that innovation may take place in our markets. So there are many more being shared than things being disrupted in this conversation.
But we know that the White House has targeted the Digital Markets Act as one of these sort of non-tariff barriers that they're focused on in the negotiations now between the EU and the US on trade. Is enforcement of the DMA part of the conversation in terms of getting a deal with the United States?
Of course not. We do not challenge the United States on how they implement the rules or how they adopt the regulation. I think that we deserve respect the same way. And I think that the Digital Markets Act is a very good proof of how we can be much more effective, much quicker, and much cheaper when implementing a well-functioning market in the digital context. So I'm very proud of what we do.
And part of that, you've brought two fines against Apple, one against Apple, once against Meta, $500 million and $200 million for non-compliance to the DMA. Are you satisfied now with the actions that Meta and that Apple have taken in order to resolve the concerns that you had?
We have been working with them. I think that we have stated once and again that the main goal is not to fine anyone, but to ensure compliance, this culture that could allow us to respect innovation, to respect interoperability duties, to ensure that consumers can choose. And this is what we are trying to achieve.
And have you achieved that with Apple?
Well, it's going very well. Okay. I hope we can give you news in the coming days.
You're also investigating the takeover of Kellanova by Mars. What are your concerns there? Are there going to have to be divestments of brands?
The main thing here, and I don't want to enter into a conversation on an ongoing process, but the main thing here is to what extent that could mean a huge share on products that may be very similar. So how it could play when talking with the big distribution companies. But as I say, I think that we need to wait. The procedure is ongoing, and we need to respect the rights, the comments, and to get information and eventually the evidence if there is anything that doesn't work.
And I know that one of the other issues that's been sort of ongoing is the Google ad tech investigation. And our reporter, Sam Stolten, is tense with anticipation for any update there. Do you give us a timeline on when we're going to get some information on what you're seeing there?
Very soon. I think that this has already come in the United States. It has come out from the courts, and the U.S. administration is thinking about how to deal with the eventual remedies to be taken. There are many other constituencies that are thinking similarly, and our procedure is about to end.
And then a sort of final question back on the state aid framework. Where do you think Europe can win on clean technology? There was obviously an attempt with Northvolt. There was a lot of money that went into that. What sectors do you see as actually competitive for Europe in the clean tech race?
So this state aid framework intends to facilitate the three main goals of the clean industrial deal: how we can decarbonize the industry, how we can accelerate the energy transition, how we can ensure that clean manufacturing, clean tech manufacturing has a great opportunity in Europe. And I think that we count on the strengths in terms of skills, in terms of logistics, in terms of infrastructure, research, in terms of markets. And yes, betting on this accelerated energy transition is betting on affordable energy prices, is betting on the whole industrial and services corporates providing new solutions to Europe and investing in our security.